Take off your sock right now. Look at your ankle. Do you see a deep line pressed into your skin? Press your thumb into that soft area just above your ankle bone. Hold it for 5 seconds, then let go. If a dent stays behind, your body is trying to tell you something, and most people over 60 completely ignore it. Hello and welcome back to Healthy Aging, the place where we take the confusing world of health and make it simple, honest, and easy to use in real life. If this is your first time here, you are very welcome. Today, we are talking about something that millions of people over 60 deal with quietly, often for years, without ever asking a single question about it. Swollen ankles, puffy feet, legs that feel heavy by the evening, shoes that fit fine in the morning, and feel tight by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now here's the honest truth, and I want to be very clear with you right from the start. Swollen ankles are not always dangerous. Sometimes the cause is something completely harmless, like sitting still for too long or a very warm day. But sometimes, and this is the part people miss, swollen ankles are the very first visible signal that something deeper in the body is under strain. The heart, the kidneys, the liver, the veins, the lymph system, or even a medicine you have been taking without a second thought for years. The medical word for this swelling is edema, and all it really means is fluid collecting in the tissues under your skin. That is it. No complicated meaning behind it. Your body is holding on to water where it should not be holding on to water. The important question is never simply, am I swollen? The important question is always, why am I swollen? And what is my body trying to tell me? So in this video, I am going to walk you through the 7 most common reasons ankles swell after the age of 60. I am going to show you the warning signs that mean you should speak to a doctor sooner rather than later. And I am going to share some very simple, very practical daily habits that can help reduce that heavy, uncomfortable, puffy feeling. All of it based on well-established medical understanding. All of it explained in plain, everyday language. And none of it involves me telling you to take any medicine, because that is a conversation only you and your own doctor can have. Let me start by explaining what is actually happening inside your legs, because once you understand this, everything else in this video will make far more sense. Your body is roughly 60% water. That water is not sitting still. It is constantly moving between your blood vessels and the tissues around them. Tiny blood vessels called capillaries leak a small amount of fluid into the surrounding tissue all day long. That is completely normal. It is how your cells receive nutrients. Most of that fluid is then reabsorbed back into the blood vessels. Whatever is left over is collected by a separate drainage network called the lymphatic system and returned to the bloodstream. So there is a balance. Fluid goes out, fluid comes back. When that balance is working properly, you never notice a thing. Swelling happens when more fluid leaves the blood vessels than comes back, or when the return journey gets blocked or slowed down. Now here is where gravity becomes your enemy. When you are standing or sitting, your feet and ankles are the lowest part of your body. Gravity is pulling every drop of fluid downwards all day long. To push blood back up from your feet to your heart, your body relies on something clever: the muscles in your calves. Every time you take a step, your calf muscle squeezes, and that squeeze pushes blood upwards through the veins in your leg. Inside those veins, there are small one-way valves, like little doors, that snap shut behind the blood so it cannot fall back down. Doctors sometimes call the calf muscle the second heart, and that is a beautiful description because that is exactly what it is. Your heart pumps blood down, your calves help pump it back up. Now think about what happens as we get older. We tend to move less, we sit for longer, we stand still for longer. Those little valves inside the veins, after 60, 70, or 80 years of hard work, can become weaker and stop closing properly. The calf muscles become smaller and less powerful. The walls of the blood vessels become slightly less elastic. The lymphatic drainage system becomes a little slower and less efficient. So the pump gets weaker, the doors get leaky, and gravity never takes a day off. Fluid starts to pool. The very first place you will see it is around the ankles and the tops of the feet, because that is where gravity delivers it. That is the basic mechanism, and honestly, understanding that one idea puts you ahead of most people. But now we need to ask the deeper question. Why has the balance tipped in the first place? Because the swelling is only a symptom. It is the smoke. We need to find the fire. Before we go into the 7 causes, let me tell you about a simple test you can do yourself in about 10 seconds. It is called the pitting test, and doctors use a version of it every single day. Sit down comfortably. Take your thumb and press firmly into the soft tissue on the front of your shin. It's about halfway between your knee and your ankle, where you can feel the bone underneath. Press for 5 full seconds. Do not be gentle, but do not hurt yourself either. Now release and look carefully. If the skin springs straight back, that is a good sign. If a small dent or dimple stays behind for a few seconds before slowly filling in, that is called pitting edema, and it tells you that there is genuine fluid sitting in that tissue. The deeper the dent and the longer it takes to disappear, the more fluid is present. Do the same test on both legs and compare them. It's important, and I will explain exactly why in a moment. Because whether the swelling is on one side or both sides is one of the single most useful clues in this entire video. Now, before I go into the 7 causes, I want to say something directly to you, and I want you to really hear it. If you have had swollen ankles for months or even years, and you have simply accepted it as part of getting older, please do not do that. Swelling is not a normal part of aging. Aging makes swelling more likely, yes, but there is always a reason behind it. And in a great many cases, that reason can be identified and improved. Please stay with me until the end of this video, because the section on warning signs could genuinely matter. And the practical habits at the end are things you can start doing today for free. And if you are finding this useful so far, do let me know in the comments where you are watching from. I genuinely love reading them, and it helps me understand who I am talking to. Right? Let us get into it. 7 reasons your ankles swell after 60. Reason 1. Weak vein valves, also known as chronic venous insufficiency. This is by far the most common cause of long-term ankle swelling in older adults, and it is very often the least dangerous, although it should still never be ignored. Remember those little one-way valves inside your leg veins? Over decades of standing, walking, and working, especially if you have spent your life in a job where you were on your feet a lot, those valves can become stretched and stop sealing properly. When a valve fails, blood falls back down instead of traveling up. Pressure builds inside the vein. That pressure squeezes fluid out into the surrounding tissue, and there is your swelling. How do you recognize it? The swelling is usually in both legs, although one is often noticeably worse than the other. It is at its best first thing in the morning after a night lying flat, and at its worst in the evening. The legs feel heavy, achy, and tired rather than sharply painful. You may see visible varicose veins, twisted and rope-like under the skin. And over a long period of time, the skin around the ankle can change color, becoming brownish or reddish-brown, and it may feel thicker or tighter than the skin elsewhere. That skin discoloration is an important signal. It happens because iron from red blood cells leaks into the tissue and stains it. It tells you the pressure has been high for a long time, and if it is left completely unmanaged, the skin can eventually break down and form a very stubborn sore around the ankle. That is worth preventing, and prevention is very achievable. Reason 2. The heart is under strain. This is the one everybody worries about, so let me explain it calmly and clearly. Your heart has 4 chambers. The right side receives blood returning from the body and sends it to the lungs. The left side receives blood from the lungs and pumps it out to the body. If the right side of the heart becomes weaker or stiffer, it struggles to accept all the blood arriving from the veins. Blood then backs up behind it. Pressure rises throughout the venous system, and fluid is pushed out into the tissues. Because of gravity, that fluid settles in the lowest point, which is your ankles and feet. The pattern here is quite distinctive. Swelling is almost always in both legs, and it is fairly symmetrical. It builds gradually over days or weeks. And crucially, it comes with other clues. Watch for shortness of breath, particularly when doing something that never used to trouble you, like climbing the stairs or carrying shopping. Watch for breathlessness when you lie flat, so that you find yourself needing 2 or 3 pillows to sleep comfortably. Watch for waking suddenly in the night, feeling as if you cannot get enough air. Watch for unusual tiredness. Watch for a persistent dry cough, especially at night. And watch for rapid weight gain because fluid is heavy. Gaining 2 or 3 kilograms in a few days without eating differently is fluid, not fat. Now please do not panic if you have swollen ankles and nothing else. Swelling on its own is far more often a vein problem than a heart problem. But swelling combined with breathlessness is a combination that deserves prompt medical attention, and I would not be doing my job if I did not say that plainly. Reason 3. The kidneys are not filtering as well as they should. Your kidneys are two remarkable organs, each about the size of a fist, and their job is to filter your entire blood supply many times a day, removing waste and deciding precisely how much salt and water to keep and how much to send away as urine. When kidney function declines, and it does decline gradually with age in many people, two things can happen. Kidneys may hold on to too much sodium and water, increasing the total volume of fluid in the body, or they may start leaking protein into the urine. That second one matters enormously, because a protein in your blood, called albumin, acts like a sponge, holding water inside your blood vessels. If albumin levels drop, water seeps out into the tissues. Kidney-related swelling often behaves differently from vein-related swelling. It can appear in the face, particularly puffiness around the eyes when you first wake up, as well as in the legs. Other clues include urine that looks unusually foamy or bubbly, changes in how often you pass urine, especially getting up more at night, tiredness that does not improve with rest, poor appetite, and itchy skin. The important thing to understand is that early kidney trouble is famously quiet. It often causes no obvious symptoms at all, until a significant amount of function has already been lost. This is exactly why simple routine blood and urine tests matter so much, and why swelling should always prompt a conversation with your doctor rather than a shrug of the shoulders. Reason 4. The liver is struggling. Your liver produces that albumin I just mentioned. It also processes everything you eat and drink, filters toxins, and manages an enormous amount of blood flow. When the liver becomes scarred or damaged over time, two problems develop together. It makes less albumin, so fluid escapes from the blood vessels, and blood struggles to flow through the stiffened liver, raising pressure in the veins that feed into it. That combination pushes fluid into the legs, and often into the abdomen as well. The signs of liver-related swelling are worth knowing. Alongside swollen legs, you may notice the abdomen becoming distended and firm, so that trousers feel tight around the waist, even though your arms and shoulders may actually be losing muscle. You may see yellowing of the whites of the eyes or the skin. You may bruise very easily or bleed for longer than usual from a small cut. You may feel persistently nauseous or lose your appetite. Some people notice small red spider-like marks on the chest or shoulders and reddening of the palms. If you notice swelling in your legs alongside a swelling abdomen or any yellow tinge to your eyes, please treat that as a reason to see your doctor without delay. Reason 5. Medicines you may already be taking. I want to handle this section very carefully, and I want to be absolutely clear about something before I say another word. I am not going to tell you to stop, start, change, or adjust any medicine. I am not going to suggest that any medicine is bad. I will never do that on this channel, and please be very cautious about any channel that does. Stopping a prescribed medicine suddenly can be far more dangerous than the side effect you are worried about. What I'm going to do is simply make you aware that ankle swelling is a very well-recognized and well-solved death, a documented side effect of several extremely common groups of medicines, so that you know to raise it as a question with your own doctor or pharmacist rather than silently putting up with it. A well-known example is a group of blood pressure medicines called calcium channel blockers. These are excellent, widely used medicines that have protected countless people from strokes and heart attacks. They work partly by relaxing and widening small blood vessels. And one predictable consequence of that widening is that a little more fluid can seep into the tissues of the lower legs. This is one of the most frequently reported reasons people mention ankle swelling to their doctor. Certain anti-inflammatory painkillers, the type many people take for arthritis and joint pain, can also cause the body to retain sodium and water. Steroid medicines can do the same. Some medicines used for diabetes, some used for nerve pain. And certain hormone treatments have also been associated with fluid retention. Notice that I am not naming any of these as something you should avoid. I am not qualified to make that judgment for you, and neither is anyone else who has not examined you and read your notes. What I am saying is this. If your ankles started swelling within weeks or a few months of beginning a new medicine, or after a dose was increased, that timing is a genuinely useful piece of information, and your doctor will want to know it. Here's something practical you can do. Write down the date you first noticed the swelling. Then look at when each of your medicines was started or changed. If those dates line up, mention it at your next appointment. Doctors have many options available to them, and a simple conversation may lead to a solution. But that decision belongs to your doctor, not to a video on the internet. Reason 6. A blood clot in the deep veins of the leg. This one is different from everything else I have mentioned, and it is the reason I asked you earlier to compare both legs. Because this is the cause that demands urgent attention. A deep vein thrombosis is a blood clot that forms inside one of the large veins deep within the leg. When that clot blocks the vein, blood cannot get out of the leg properly, and the leg swells. Because the clot is almost always in one leg only, the swelling is one-sided. Here is what to look out for. Swelling that appears in one leg over hours or a day or two, not slowly over months. And a noticeable difference in size between the two legs. Pain, aching, or cramping, often in the calf, may feel worse when you stand or walk. Skin that feels warmer than the other leg. Redness or a reddish or purplish discoloration. And tenderness when you press on the calf. This matters urgently because a piece of that clot can break away and travel to the lungs, which is a genuine medical emergency. Warning signs that this may have happened include sudden shortness of breath, sharp chest pain that gets worse when you breathe in, coughing up blood, a racing heartbeat, or feeling faint. So please remember this simple rule. Both legs swollen slowly over time is usually something to investigate calmly with your doctor. One leg swollen quickly, especially with pain, warmth, or redness, is something to have assessed the same day. Risk goes up after long periods of immobility, such as a long flight or car journey, after surgery, after an illness that kept you in bed, or if you have a history of clots. If any of that applies and one leg swells, do not wait and see. Reason 7. Everyday lifestyle and environmental causes. I have saved this one until now because it is genuinely the most common cause overall, and thankfully, the most fixable. Sitting still for hours switches off your calf pump completely. Long journeys, long television sessions, long afternoons in a favorite armchair, the blood simply pools. Standing still for hours does exactly the same thing, because standing without walking does not activate the muscle pump either. Hot weather causes blood vessels near the skin to widen, which allows more fluid to escape into the tissues. This is why so many people notice their ankles swelling in summer or in a warm room. A diet high in salt makes the body hold on to extra water, because water follows sodium. Processed foods, tinned soups, ready meals, cured meats, salty snacks, sauces and takeaways contain far more salt than most people realize. And the salt you add at the table is only a small fraction of the total. Carrying extra body weight increases pressure inside the abdomen, which makes it harder for blood to return upwards from the legs. Not moving enough allows the calf muscles to weaken, which reduces the pump. And drinking too little water, strange as it sounds, can actually make the body hold on to fluid more tightly, because the body responds to a shortage by conserving. There are a few other causes worth knowing briefly. An underactive thyroid can cause a firmer type of swelling that does not pit when you press it. A very low-protein diet can lower albumin and allow fluid to leak out. Damage to the lymphatic drainage system, sometimes after surgery or infection, causes a firm swelling that often includes the toes. An untreated sleep apnea can put strain on the right side of the heart over time. Now let us bring all of this together into something you can actually use, because information without action does not help anybody. I want to give you a clear list of warning signs. These are the situations where swelling stops being an inconvenience and becomes something that needs a professional to look at it. Please listen carefully to these, and if you know somebody who has swollen ankles, share this section with them. Seek urgent medical help the same day if you experience any of the following. Sudden swelling in one leg only, particularly if it comes with pain, warmth, redness, or tenderness in the calf. Swelling with a racing or irregular heartbeat, dizziness, or feeling faint. Sudden severe swelling that appears over just a few hours. Swelling with a fever or skin that is hot red, spreading and painful, which may suggest an infection. Swelling in someone with a known heart or kidney condition that suddenly gets much worse. And any swelling that comes with confusion or unusual drowsiness. Make a routine appointment with your doctor if you notice any of these. Swelling that has been present for more than a week or two without a clear explanation. Swelling that is not improving after a full night's rest with your legs flat. swelling accompanied by unexplained weight gain of more than around 2 kilograms in a week. Skin around the ankle that has changed color, becomes brown, thickened, shiny, tight, or hard. Any open sore, crack, or ulcer near the ankle that is slow to heal. Swelling alongside foamy urine, or a change in how much or how often you pass urine. Swelling with a swollen abdomen or yellowing of the eyes. Swelling that began after starting or changing a medicine. Swelling with increasing tiredness or breathlessness on mild activity. And swelling that is affecting your ability to walk, wear shoes, or live comfortably. If you are not sure which category you fall into, always choose caution. No sensible doctor will ever be annoyed with you for asking about swollen legs. It is one of the most useful symptoms in all of medicine because it opens a window into the heart, the kidneys, the liver, and the circulation all at once. Now let me tell you what tests a doctor might consider, so that you walk into that appointment feeling prepared rather than anxious. They will start by looking at both legs and comparing them, checking whether the swelling pits when pressed, and examining the skin. They will check your blood pressure, your pulse, and your weight. They will listen to your heart and your lungs. They may look at the veins in your neck, because that gives a clue about pressure in the right side of the heart. They may press gently on your abdomen to check the liver. They may then suggest some simple tests: a blood test to check kidney function and salt levels, a blood test to check liver function and albumin, a blood count to look for anemia, thyroid test. Sometimes a specific blood marker that helps assess whether the heart is under strain, a urine test to look for protein, possibly a tracing of the heart's rhythm, possibly an ultrasound scan of the leg veins if a clot is suspected, or an ultrasound of the heart to see how well it is pumping. None of these are frightening. Most are quick, and together they usually give a clear answer. The point of listing them is so that you understand there is a proper process here, and swollen ankles genuinely can be investigated and explained. Now let us talk about the practical part. What can you actually do at home starting today to help your legs feel lighter and more comfortable? I want to be very clear about the boundaries here. These are general lifestyle habits that support healthy circulation. They are not a treatment for any underlying condition, and they are not a substitute for finding out why you are swollen. If there is a heart, kidney, or liver cause behind your swelling, that cause needs proper medical attention. But alongside that, these habits genuinely help most people feel better. Habit 1. Elevate your legs properly. This is the simplest and most effective thing on this list, and almost everybody does it wrong. Putting your feet on a footstool that is level with your hips does very little. To let gravity work for you instead of against you, your feet need to be higher than your heart. Lie down flat on a bed or a sofa and place 2 or 3 firm pillows under your calves and ankles, so your feet are raised about 20 to 30 centimeters above the level of your chest. Support the whole calf, not just the heel, so there is no pressure point behind your knee. Stay there for 15 to 20 minutes. Do this 2 or 3 times a day, and ideally one of those times in the late afternoon or early evening before the swelling reaches its daily peak. Many people are genuinely surprised at how much difference this makes within a week. Habit 2. Wake up your second heart. Remember, your calf muscles are the pump. If you do not use them, fluid stays put. The simplest exercise is the ankle pump. Sitting or lying down, point your toes away from you as far as they will go, then pull them back towards your shins as far as they will go. Do that slowly, 20 times. Then rotate each ankle in circles, 10 in each direction. This takes about 2 minutes and you can do it while watching television. Next, the heel raises. Stand behind a sturdy chair and hold the back of it for balance. Rise up onto the balls of your feet, hold for 2 seconds, then lower slowly. Do 10 to 15 if you are able. This directly squeezes the calf pump. And then there is walking, which remains the single best thing you can do for your circulation. Aim to break up long periods of sitting by getting up and moving for a few minutes every hour. Set a reminder if it helps. A short walk every hour does far more for swelling than one long walk once a day, followed by 6 hours in a chair. If your mobility is limited, do not worry. Seated ankle pumps and gentle leg lifts while sitting still activate the pump and still make a real difference. Habit 3. Rethink salt rather than just the salt cellar. Most of the salt in a typical modern diet does not come from the pot on the table. It comes hidden inside everyday foods. Bread, breakfast cereals, tinned soups, packet sauces, stock cubes, cured and processed meats, cheese, ready meals, crisps, salted nuts, and takeaway food. Health authorities around the world generally advise adults to keep salt intake below around 5 to 6 grams a day, which is roughly 1 level teaspoon, and many people are eating considerably more than that without realizing. The practical approach is simple. Start reading labels and compare to similar products, choosing the one with less salt. Cook more meals from fresh ingredients because that immediately puts you in control. Build flavor with herbs, spices, garlic, onion, lemon juice, vinegar, and black pepper instead of reaching for salt. And be cautious with salt substitutes because many of them are high in potassium, which is not suitable for everybody, particularly people with kidney concerns. That is another one to check with your doctor first. Also, make sure you are eating enough protein from good sources such as eggs, fish, lean meat, dairy, beans, lentils, and pulses, because protein helps your blood hold fluid where it belongs. Very low protein diets in older adults are more common than people think, and they can contribute to swelling. Habit 4. Drink enough water. This surprises people every single time. If you are swollen, surely you should drink less. For most people, the opposite is true. When you are slightly dehydrated, your body senses a shortage and responds by holding on to sodium and water more tightly. Drinking steadily throughout the day helps the kidneys flush excess sodium away. There is one important exception. Some people with heart or kidney conditions are given a specific daily fluid limit by their doctor. If that is you, follow your doctor's instructions, not general advice from a video. For everybody else, sip water regularly through the day rather than drinking large amounts at once. Go easy on alcohol, which is well known to affect fluid balance. Habit 5. Compression, but only with advice. Compression stockings work by applying graded pressure to the leg, firmest at the ankle and gently easing off higher up. That pressure supports the veins and helps push fluid upwards. For people with weak vein valves, they can be genuinely transformative. However, and this is important, compression is not suitable for everybody. If the arteries supplying your legs are narrowed, compression can reduce blood flow further and cause harm. If you have certain skin conditions or an infection, it may not be appropriate. This is why compression should always be discussed with a doctor, nurse, or pharmacist first, and why they should be properly fitted rather than simply bought off a shelf and guessed at. If they are recommended for you, put them on first thing in the morning before the swelling builds up, and remove them at night. Habit 6. Look after the skin. Swollen skin is stretched skin, and stretched skin is fragile skin. It cracks more easily, it heals more slowly, and it is more prone to infection. Wash gently with warm water and a mild, unperfumed cleanser. Dry carefully, especially between the toes. Apply a simple, unperfumed moisturizer every day to keep the skin supple. Inspect your feet and ankles daily, and if your eyesight makes that difficult, use a mirror or ask someone to help. Look for any cracks, sores, redness, or changes in color. Wear shoes that fit properly and do not dig in, and avoid tight socks with elastic bands that leave deep grooves in the skin. If you have diabetes, daily foot checks are especially important, and any break in the skin should be reviewed promptly. Habit 7. Small changes to your daily routine. Avoid crossing your legs when sitting because it restricts blood flow. Avoid standing completely still for long periods. And if you must, shift your weight and rise onto your toes every so often. Keep the room reasonably cool and be aware that very hot baths can make swelling temporarily worse. On long journeys, get up and walk every hour or two where possible and do ankle pumps in your seat. Weigh yourself at the same time each morning, after using the toilet and before breakfast, wearing similar clothing. Write it down. A steady weight is reassuring. A rise of 2 kilograms or more within a few days, without eating more, generally means fluid, and it is very useful information for your doctor. This simple daily habit is one of the most valuable monitoring tools available to anybody. Let me bring this all together now. Swollen ankles after 60 are common, but common is not the same as normal, and it is certainly not the same as harmless. Your ankles are a window. They can show you how your veins are performing, how your heart is coping, how your kidneys are filtering, how your liver is functioning, and how your daily habits are adding up. The single most useful thing you can do is stop accepting the swelling and start asking why. Do the pitting test. Compare both legs. Notice whether it is better in the morning. Notice what else is happening in your body. Okay, note down when it started and what changed around that time. Then take that information to your doctor, because that is exactly the kind of detail that leads to a fast and accurate answer. Please remember the urgent signs. One leg swelling quickly with pain, warmth, or redness. Swelling with breathlessness or chest pain. Sudden severe swelling. Those need same-day attention. And please remember the boundary I set at the start. I have not told you to take anything, stop anything, or change anything you have been prescribed. Those decisions belong to you and your own doctor, who knows your full history. Now, I would genuinely love to hear from you, so please answer these in the comments. First, do your socks leave a deep mark on your ankles by the end of the day? Yes or no? Just tell me honestly. Second, when you did the pitting test earlier in this video, did the dent stay behind? And if so, was it on one leg or both? Third, which of the 7 habits are you going to start with today? Elevating your legs, ankle pumps, cutting hidden salt, or something else? Tell me which one you are committing to. And fourth, a question I am really curious about. Have you ever mentioned your swollen ankles to a doctor, or is this the first time you have taken it seriously? There is no judgment here at all. I just want to know how common that is. I read the comments and your answers often shape the videos I make next. If this video helped you understand your own body a little better, please give it a like, because it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And please share this with one person over 60 who you know puts up with swollen ankles and has never questioned it. You might be doing them a real favor. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Look after your legs, keep moving, and I will see you in the next one here on Healthy Aging.